they absolutely smashed it. I was very, we sold, I think, over 20,000 copies of that product. So that was what was being able to keep me afloat for the last, 6-7 years maybe now.
6-7 years.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, you had the line like, yeah, stop drilling. You don't need to drill. Listen to me. But
I've said a lot of people with that.
Well, it catches your attention. You're like, well, what is he talking about?
It's a very strong phrase. And it's very easy to, and I rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way.
Right.
And definitely confused a lot of people. And it is a confusing topic because it is something that you need to really sit down and think about to really understand what I'm saying. And basically what I'm trying to explain to people is that the body learns a certain way. And depending on the way you decide to structure your training will dictate how you learn certain things. And a lot of people have adopted the industrial age model of learning, which is I tell you exactly what to do, you repeat it, and then you're correct. And as a martial artist yourself, you know that there is no correct technique, really. There are things that will work, and it's the same thing that will not work in a different circumstance. Like we can show our best technique, but that best technique can be counted. The important thing on whether that technique works is the timing, and the timing is just understanding whether this is the right thing to do. For example, if I want to do something to you, and you think I'm doing A when I'm really doing B, then the timing is great. It works. So the technique works, but the timing is a really important thing. So what I try to get people to understand is that the technique isn't the dictator of whether it works. The most important thing is the timing. And when you go into timing, then you start realizing that there's a lot more things that come to play. So there's one thing we know with the human body is the reason we learn is a survival mechanism. Okay, everything we do as a human biologically is to survive and procreate. Yeah. So if we think of learning, well, learning's our tool to survive. If some big bald dude comes and hits you with a club, back in the day, then, well, you're going to learn really quickly when a big bald dude comes with a club, not to be near him, you know what I mean? If you eat a certain berry and you realize your body reacts to certain things. So when you know that that's the reason why you learn, then there's a couple really interesting things that happen. For starters, you don't really learn or remember things when you're not emotionally engaged in things. And what I mean by that, the reason why is your brain doesn't really know what's important to learn. Your body doesn't know what's really important to learn. What dictates is your amygdala, and what it does is it decides by how emotionally aroused you are, whether this is something or a situation that you need to learn from. So if you're practicing a technique with no kind of emotional context and you're just practicing and drilling it, your body's just going to forget it. And they found they tested this with a lot of different things. They would learn things for a day or two, and within 3 weeks that the memory retention on that was terrible. They would lose 80% of what they did. But when you're emotionally engaged, you remember a lot more. It's can you remember 9/11? And most people can remember where you were in 9/11, right, where you watched that, because you're emotionally engaged. Something serious has happened and you're just, what's going on? When you could probably remember the last 3 times you were submitted in Jiu-Jitsu, especially as you get better and better and it happens less and less. You remember these things. You remember the last time you're taken down. You remember the last time you sweat because emotionally it affected you. So knowing, and they call it the emotional arousal theory of memory, knowing that, then you got to think, okay, well, I'm going to remember.
Stuff, man. Appreciate this. Yeah.
Thank you. No.
Go ahead.
So I know that when I structure training, I need to make sure that my students are emotionally engaged. And it's very hard to do that when it comes to just practicing a technique.